Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be listening to this. I am your host, Sutton Def, and you are listening to the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. And this is Quiet Storm Sports, where we cover all things Baltimore Ravens and more. If that sounds good to you and you enjoy daily Ravens content, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. But today, we've got a lot of things we need to get to. Rashod Bateman's case just took a crazy turn. We got to get into that. Also, Ravens offensive coordinator Declan Doyle made a final decision on one of his coaching preferences for this year, which is very interesting. We're going to touch on that and so much more here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. And be sure to like that video.
You're watching Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe for more Ravens content.
Yes, sir. We are back with another episode of Quiet Storm Sports right here on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Welcome into the show, everybody. We are live here on this beautiful Tuesday, August the 25th. Baltimore Ravens did not have a public practice today. The media was not allowed to be there, at least for the practice portion of practice, right? At the end, they did some interviews where the media was able to report. So we're going to go through those reports here today because there are a couple of nuggets dropped that we need to take from that and discuss here with the live chat. And if you are here in the live chat, please let me know. Please let me know. Comment in the live chat. Say, hey, what's up, Sutton? I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I'll bring you up on the screen. We can chop it up. You guys know I love the Rain Gang community. You know that. And listen, if you're part of the hashtag replay gang, you know the drill. Put it down below in the comment section, hashtag replay gang, and follow it up with whatever thoughts, comments, questions, concerns you have from this episode. All right, let's see who we got in here so far. Stretch626 says, what's up, Sutton? What's going on, Stretch? I see you in the chat. Dr. Kush says, good afternoon, everyone. What up, Dr. Kush? Tila, Miss Moderator, Gold Gang, don't play with her. She in here too. What's going on, Tila? Thank you for coming through. Moggs420, another member in the chat, slutting out for Bateman. Oh, see, here you go. We're going to get to it. Don't worry about it. But thank you for coming through, Moggs. Bo Knows. What's going on, Bo Knows? Wild how everyone just crucified Bateman before the facts came out. TMZ has never been trustworthy. We're going to get to it. JD, what up? My boy, what up? Afia is in the chat. Good afternoon, Afia. Let me see. Jay the Six, in the words of Uncle Ruckus, that boy guilty. I got his walking papers right here. Uncle Ruckus, one of the funniest TV characters and saddest at the same time TV characters of all time. King Lee is in the chat. What up, King Lee? Says, what's up, Sutton? I'm here. I'm glad you are. But Gordy, what up? Says, we here. Yo. Syndicate says the league may still suspend him. I don't think that they will, and I'm going to talk about that here in this episode too. Replay gang, let me know down below if you think that the Ravens will, the league will suspend Rashod Bateman for what's currently going on. Frieza saying, hey, look, we got to wait for the facts, man. I agree, Frieza. Unfortunately, I want to start off, before I talk about this whole Rashod Bateman thing, I do want to give you guys a disclaimer about my stances on these types of issues, and I've kind of touched on this in the last two videos that I've addressed this issue. But since I report on this team daily, unfortunately, a lot of the things that I say and the information that I get becomes obsolete shortly after I'm done recording, because you guys know we do all these live and things like that, and one story might come out in this hour, and then as soon as I'm done live, going live, another story might come out. So I just have to kind of keep refreshing you guys with my opinions on these things. So I don't want you guys to think that, I'm not the type of person who likes to wait for the facts and the information. I'm just reporting on the bombshell news that is hitting all of our timelines and is basically the elephant in the room. If I don't address the elephant in the room, then what am I here for? You know what I mean? So I just want to, again, to preface everything I'm going to say with, look, there might be more information that comes out after this episode, which I'll address in a future episode, right? But don't crucify me, for not having all the facts. But I got to talk about it because I report on this team. I cover this team. And it's an interesting conversation. All right. What's up, Ro Live? Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this whole Rashod Bateman, the newest drama to come out of this story here. Before we do, please be sure to like the video, sub if you are new. So yesterday Alex and we were live, and we had gotten information from a TMZ article, which I'll get to TMZ in a second. But there was information that came from a TMZ article. Obviously, last Friday, we found out that Rashod Bateman had apparently busted the windows out of the mother of his child's car, in like a rage or whatever. And yesterday, it was reported that he had shoved her into a wall and, put hands on her and all this type of stuff. Threatened to put her dog on the street, all this type of stuff. And then later that same evening, there was another article released by TMZ. And said, hold on, wait, hold on, wait a minute. That didn't happen. She took that part back. It was a live update, like pretty much like 30 minutes after me and Alex got done going live, a live update of her recanting her statements, or at least some of her statements. Not all of them, but some of them. So let me read through this article here that kind of details exactly what happened after me and Alex were done going live yesterday. The mother of Ravens wide receiver Rashod Bateman's child recanted her original statement that he pushed her into a wall and put his hands on her during a dispute that led to Bateman's arrest in June. Bateman's attorney, John Kennedy of the New York-based Reed Smith, said the alleged victim authorized him to provide the Baltimore Sun a copy of an email she sent to Cliff Howard, chief district attorney for Walton County, Georgia, on June 8th, 5 days after the alleged incident took place. In the email, she writes that she wanted to explain, quote, the true side of the story, end quote. So right there, just right off the bat, the incident happened on June 3rd, right? Apparently in this email that is delivered on June 8th, she's saying, so 5 days later, a full work week later, she's saying, okay, now I want to actually come out and tell what really happened. I guess she's going to get into maybe how emotions and passions might have been high at the moment. And maybe she says some things that she didn't necessarily mean to say. But let's continue reading. She then says that while her and Bateman have argued, they are not violent toward each other, adding that the marks on her face were self-inflicted and created out of emotion and frustration. She also said that police officers invaded her privacy by lifting her head wrap to take pictures of her face, and wrote that Bateman, quote, did not push me or put hands on me in any way, end quote. So there it is right there. And there's still more to read, but there it is right there. The kind of like the gist of this, right? She's openly admitting here that her and Rashod Bateman typically don't fight. They're typically not violent toward each other. However, something specific happened that night to where, I don't know, I guess he just, how do I say, maybe he just snapped. Maybe, I don't know what was going on with Rashod Bateman in that. Maybe he just snapped. But actually, chat, give me 15 seconds. I will be right back. Got to take care of something. 15 seconds. Right back.
Watching Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe for more Ravens content. You're watching Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe for more Ravens content. You're watching Quiet Storm Sports.
All right, chat, I'm back. Apologies for that. I am back. Anywho, so back to this Rashod Bateman thing. Let me keep reading here. I acted emotionally and made statements that were not true because I was upset at the time and wanted to get him in trouble, she wrote. Looking back on the situation, I understand the seriousness of my actions, and I want to correct the record by being fully honest about what happened. During this situation, emotions were extremely high, and I was overwhelmed and not thinking clearly. Some of the statements I made in the heat of the moment were influenced by stress, frustration, and pressure from the situation. Okay, so there's pretty much an admission. And now, again, I want to be very clear about this. She's not admitting here. She's not admitting here that the whole thing that happened with the car, she's not saying that that didn't happen. She's saying that, she might have added some fluff to the story by saying, oh, he pushed me, put his hands on me, yada, yada, yada. And again, I don't really know the full story. So again, we got to be careful with this because I think multiple things can be true. I think that maybe some of the story was a little bit exaggerated, like she's saying here, right? But also B, there were some things that Rashod Bateman did that broke the law. There were some things that Rashod Bateman did that, in the court of public opinion, in my personal opinion, he effed up, right? And that was why I believe they said he turned himself in to the authorities, right? You don't turn yourself in to the authorities to be arrested if you know you did nothing wrong, right? So again, I think multiple things can be true. One, Rashod Bateman does deserve some blame here because, like me and Alex always say, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's a lot of smoke here. There's been little fires here and there that are kind of being put out. But at the end of the day, he did something that he knew he wasn't supposed to be doing. So he deserves to, take accountability for that. On the other hand, based off of what we know so far, whoever this, his girlfriend, she needs to take some accountability for lying. And apparently she did in that email that she sent or whatever. But I'm not jumping, like me personally, Chad, I'm not jumping off either side of the cliff here. I'm not jumping off the side of the cliff that's like, oh, Bateman's he's a piece of trash and, he's a horrible person, yada, yada, he needs to be cut from the team, cut from the league, things like that. But I'm also not jumping off the side of the cliff that's like, oh, this girl is lying on Bateman. Women want to lie on rich dudes and athletes and whatnot. It happens all the time. I'm not jumping off either sides of that cliff. Because again, I think multiple things can be true. Multiple things can be true. It's called nuance. Let me see. Tomato says Sutton already looks to be in a better mood than last Friday. Do I? What's going on, Coach? Coach in the house. Oh, we also got LBHT show in the house. What's going on? Put Bateman in the book. I can't put Bateman in his own book, especially with these new developments. I don't know what to believe anymore. That's the problem too. Like, I don't know what to believe anymore, and that's where I want to shift my attention to TMZ. TMZ, step into my office, close the door behind you. Because why? Oh my goodness, man. Why are we handling a situation that pertains to domestic violence? Why are we handling this situation with such a lack of care? You know what I mean? It's like this is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people in the world. So for you to be plastering headlines, and we do know TMZ to do this, but it's just nasty when like a celebrity, somebody cheated on somebody, a little scandal, or does somebody actually have a baby or whatnot, or are they actually pregnant? Who knows? Or something happened at the Super Bowl, a viral moment. Cool, but domestic violence is something that's very, very sensitive for a lot of people. So to be handling it like it's just not some big deal and like it's just some typical tabloid topic type of stuff, it's not cool. The whole baby mama stuff, like literally every article, Rashod Bateman's baby mama. Why are we doing that? Right? Like why are we framing it like this is like some sort of ghetto love story, right? That feels targeted. I kind of earlier today I was juxtaposing this situation with Rashod Bateman, albeit this other situation I'm about to mention, two different things, right? But you guys remember a couple of weeks ago when we got that story that came out about Kyle Shanahan and he got into that accident, right? And the original reports that we got, it was all like, oh, it was just, clean accident. Like no one's at fault really here, but then it kind of like started to come out a little bit later that, okay, he was on his phone. He was distracted while driving. And that's why he ended up swerving into the totally opposite lane and hitting some girl in a car or something like that, you know. But like they handled that situation with such kid gloves, right? They like Kyle Shanahan was never painted in any sort of bad light, right? If anything, they were trying to make him look like a saint. But for some reason, with this whole Rashod Bateman thing, they're so quick to put out information that they don't even know if it's true. Because again, they put out the information that he shoved the girl hours before they released another article that said, "Oh, she took that back." I, they handle some things with kid gloves, man. They handle certain people with kid gloves. They just do. They just do. What up, Sean Coles? Read through some of y'all's chats here. We shouldn't sign Diggs. Sudden, you just saying this because I like Bateman? No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not saying that just because I like Bateman. E.T. I've literally held him accountable on multiple times on this show, saying that like, hey, look, if it comes out that he actually did that stuff, like, you know, put his hands on his on his woman and put his baby in harm's way, then yeah, no, I'm like, I held him accountable. I told him he effed up. That's what I said. That's what I said. Let me see. I think did I get done reading this here? Okay. And you know, like, you guys remember when this thing happened in like Zay Flowers back in the day? Like, what was it, about a year ago, I'd say? There was reports that came out that a woman said that he was like hitting on her and stuff like that, but then she recanted it, I think a little while later. This type of stuff does happen. And it does happen, it seems like disproportionately to athletes, professional athletes. And I just don't know why. For one, I don't know why some of these men put themselves in some of these situations. I just don't. I feel like you should have a much better, I think that professional athletes, specifically the men, should have much better judge of character, especially considering everything that they have to lose, right? But on top of that, they should have much better discernment as well. So if you are in a relationship or a situationship or whatever, what have you, you know, with somebody in your life, whether you have children with them or not, you should never allow yourself to get to a point where you are crashing out, as the kids like to say, in a fit of rage. Because A, you have a lot to lose in this life. You make more money and have more resources than 95% of people in the country, right? And you can lose that. You can lose that. That water can get cut off just like that. So I don't understand why they put themselves in harm's way. And like the bag, right? Like, you worked your entire life playing a kid's game, and now you gotten to the point where playing that kid's game has netted you millions and millions of dollars, and you're willing to throw that away over a toxic relationship? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Now, if we can go, you can go deeper. You can go deeper in this, right? A lot of people, a lot of professional athletes, and here's why I feel like they get into some of these dramatic type of situations. A lot of professional athletes, and just a lot of people in general, didn't grow up with, I'd say, strong enough role models in their life, whether that be their parents or somebody else, you know, aunties, uncles, or cousins, whoever. Strong enough role models in their life, or good enough examples of what healthy relationships should look like between men and women. And I feel like when you don't get that, that can stunt your growth as an adult, especially as an adult male. I've seen it time and time again. And that's ultimately how you end up having men who think it's okay to put their hands on a woman, men who think it's okay to crash out like this. even when they're upset with their woman. That's where your discernment has to kick in as a man, right? And steer you clear of doing something that's going to mess up your entire life. But some men deal with that. Some men deal with that, you know. Darlene, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up, Darlene. We appreciate that. He's wrong, but I don't bash him. Yeah. Great. I think I'm right there with you. Rashod Bateman is wrong. He is in the wrong here in some way, shape, or form. Because again, the girlfriend did not recant the fact that he tried to bust her window with a screwdriver and slash her tires and things like that. Didn't recant the vandalization of property or destruction of property, right? Didn't recant that. But basically, like everything else, dang near, she's saying that like, oh yeah, you know, but he didn't actually put his hands on me. I was just mad in the moment, like I was frustrated. But and, you know, some people might say like, oh well, she woke up and smelled the coffee a couple days later, that she wasn't going to be able to get some of that bag, you know, or be with Rashod and, you know, benefit off of him. But like, she got his kid, right? He got his kid. She's gonna get money from him for the next what, couple decades anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't think that would have been it, but I did see some people kind of trying to push that narrative too. Yeah. Wasn't there a report that the baby had glass in her hair? There was a report. I did hear about that. And again, that's where I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like Rashod Bateman, he effed up. He effed up. Because never should you ever put any child in harm's way, let alone your own. Right? That's just crazy to me. Insane stuff. Insane stuff. All right. Every single time this topic comes out, I see more and more men show me that they truly don't care about protecting women, says Afia. I mean, that's definitely not me. I can see a lot of people online, a lot of people in some of these, you know, these threads and stuff like that, and these forums who are jumping off that side of the cliff of like, it's all her lying and like this never happened and Rashod Bateman's completely innocent and he did nothing wrong. Like, I'm nowhere near that side. Nowhere near that side. All right. Are we sure it wasn't a sledgehammer? I don't know. What size is the screwdriver? That's what I said. You know how mad you got to be to bust a windshield with a screwdriver? All right. Let me see. Sean Cole says, I swear I'm sitting here listening to a male and a female argue them both being arrested because he lied to her and she smacked him. She takes none of the responsibility and blames him for lying. Man, this is such a nasty topic. I hate this topic. I really do. I hate this topic. I got to talk about it because like this is big for the team, and obviously I'm a Rashod Bateman guy, and that's another thing, guys. I want you to remember that. Yeah, I like Rashod Bateman. I like his game. Do I like any of this? Do I stand by do I stand behind him in any of this? No. I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, figure this out. Once the facts come out, like the end all be all facts, whatever NFL statement or when the investigation is over, which by the way, he's probably not going to go to court for this for months to like a year, maybe, is what I'm hearing. So at the end of the day, man, we got 2.5 weeks until football. We're not going to get any sort of closure, right? If you're looking for closure on this, you're not going to get it. By the way, I don't think Rashod Bateman is going to face any disciplinary action from the team either, because the team, again, this happened on June 3rd, right? The Ravens had an OTA on June 4th. Rashod Bateman was not there. Okay. But ever since then, like when training camp started up, Rashod Bateman has been at pretty much every single practice unless he was hurt, right? Also, the Ravens media has put him in front of their cameras and on their platforms multiple times, as recently as just last Thursday. Just last Thursday or Friday, one day before this story broke. So do you really think that somebody from the higher up in the Ravens would have greenlit putting Rashod Bateman on their platform if they knew that 2 months before he was going through all this? Because apparently the Ravens they've been known about this ever since it happened. Obviously, since Rashod Bateman wasn't able to report, I'm sure he was telling them what happened and whatever, what have you. But no, my point is that, like, they already knew. And I think that they've already gotten, like, closure themselves on this situation when it comes to Rashod Bateman. I'm sure they had a sit down conversation with Rashod, and they figured things out, and they ultimately deemed that it wasn't worthy of suspending him for or disciplining him for. So as we get more information, guys, I guess you can make the assumption for yourselves, because you're not going to get any sort of like official ruling or court hearing or anything like that anytime soon. Like, the season will be way done before that, right? We might be looking at starting up next season before we get that. But I guess it's just time to play ball. And again, I don't know why, like, if it were me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be so honest with you. I would at least, if I was the Ravens, at least, right? Or maybe the NFL, I'd suspend him a game without pay. Just based off alone, if he, which we know this to be true, at least so far, right? If he put the baby in harm's way by busting out the windows and the windshield, the driver's side window apparently it was, in the windshield, and that impacted the baby, and they found glass in the baby's hair, albeit they said that they were unharmed, like there was no, they weren't harmed when they got to the hospital or whatever. That's still such a horrible example to set, to let that go completely unchecked, because it's completely unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. And that information being out in the public, how do you think that hits the ear of, I don't know, a 15-year-old or 16-year-old boy, right, who loves the NFL, loves football? This story comes out about Rashod Bateman busting the windows out of his girlfriend's car, and he gets no repercussions for it. I mean, I just don't think it sets a good example. I don't. Now, of course, the NFL is probably going to wait until the investigation is completely over, the trials and everything like that, and then they might give him a little suspension or something like that. At that point, it had been over a year removed, or however long it takes for them to get this all sorted out. But yeah, I don't stand by that. I don't stand by that. All right. Yeah, they obviously know more than we know. Obviously know more than we know. What happened? Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton passed away? Is that what I'm seeing? Huh. Oh, she did. Wow. Dolly Parton has passed away at 80 years old. Country music legend Dolly Parton has passed at 80 years old. Wow. Born in 1946 and passes in 2026. Well, was never a, big fan myself, but, rest in peace. Know she meant a lot to a lot of people. Prayers for her family. breaking news while I'm on the show. Now it's all over my timeline. Okay. All right. Got to move on here. Okay. So the second thing that I wanted to get to, because I want to move away from all this Bateman drama. It isn't even, because honestly, like I said before, to start all this off, like an article can come out as soon as I get done live streaming here, and it can be something totally different. It could be something like a totally different situation or a new update. Apparently, Jamarr Chase just got hurt in practice. Oh, hold on. Let me show y'all this. Let me show y'all what's going on here. Jamarr Chase just went down in practice. I like going live at this time. Only reason I'm live this early, guys, is because I'm going to be live later on today with Coach. The Ravens Roundup we're doing today at 6 p.m., I believe. So I didn't want to go live too close to that. Jamarr Chase is limping off the field. All right, let's take a look at this. Bring you guys over here. What's going on here? Oh, I saw that. That looks like it might have been like a hyperextension. Just off the first look. Hold on, let's take a look at it again, chat. Let's take a look at it again. So he's running this go route here. Let me slow it down for us. I'll mute it. So he's running this deep route here. You see he's got to step on his guy. Oh, yeah, it was right there. That left leg came down a little bit too straight. Right? He landed on it too straight. Right there. Right here, chat. That left leg. I think he might. It looks like just off the first glance, maybe like a hyperextended knee. Right? Just based on how he landed. And again, I'm no doctor. So don't get me wrong. I'm no doctor, but that does not look pretty. That did not look pretty. Yeah, you can see him kind of immediately grab at the knee, too. You can see him immediately grab at that knee. It looks like it's hyperextended, chat. Yikes. That did not look good. Eesh. So he's walking off on his own power, but you can tell he can't really put weight on that left leg. Trainers are rushing over. Yikes. Holy crap. That is shocking. I think there was an update on it. Let me see. While Bengals' Jamarr Chase did briefly appear injured today, it's worth noting that he did not require much medical attention afterward and was around his teammates to end practice. He did not need a cart or anything of that nature. Okay, so he didn't return to practice, though. He didn't return. But they're saying he didn't require much medical attention afterwards. Okay. All right. And that's why I said it looked like a hyperextension to me. That's what it looked like to me. Hope he's okay. I pray it's nothing serious. I need to see the Bengals at full strength this year. Full strength. On a Burrow underthrow. He did kind of have to slow up to get to it, didn't he? Ravens Pro says, what's up, man? Good morning. These preseason games going by fast already. Last week of preseason. Go Ravens. You're absolutely right about that, man. We only got one more preseason game left until we're full speed ahead to week 1 in Indy. Oh, my goodness, man. I cannot wait. We're so close. Probably something similar with Nate Wiggins. Yeah, because I remember that, Frieza, when that happened. I feel like that was a similar thing. Kogan says, I'm sure Dr. Sutterer will have a breakdown of it soon. Who needs Dr. Sutterer when you have Dr. Sutton? Am I right, Kogan? Just kidding. I'm no doctor. But okay. That did look scary, though. Hopefully he's okay, though. Like I said, I think it's probably like a little minor hyperextension there. Maybe he'll miss, next couple days of practice, and he'll be fine. He should be fine by week 1, I think, at least. Maybe we'll see. Okay. But the other thing I wanted to get into was this. Let me see. Oh, the Giants, Calvin Austin just got carted off with a knee injury. That sucks. Everybody's getting hurt today. That sucks. But no, back to our Ravens. So Declan Doyle wants to call plays from the coach's booth for the entire regular season. I think this is a mistake. Let it be known. Let it be put on the record. I think this is a mistake. I think Declan Doyle needs to get in the field with Lamar and company. But I do understand why, based off of what he says here. Let's take a listen to Declan Doyle.
So I had the Philly experience up there. Felt like it was really clean. It went really well. What I was kind of looking for was the communication between myself and the coaching staff, the communication with the quarterback especially. Like, do I feel comfortable with that part? And I mean, I have a direct line to him, and then also like I really have a lot of faith in Izzy's our quarterback's coach down on the field. And what I found was it was really pretty simple to be able to communicate to him, to the quarterback, what the quarterback was feeling back to me. I thought our staff did a great job down on the field. And so when we were getting ready to go to Minnesota, it was really like, okay, I felt really good about how the communication structure was. Do I want to, try that down the field, or if I feel this good about it, like my gut was basically like, hey, stay up here and let's roll, because we don't have enough really reps left as a coaching staff to be able to go through the stress rehearsal and hit the practice of it. And so Minnesota was good because they're a little bit unique in the challenges that they bring and your ability to adjust to that defense kind of as the game goes. They do some things from a personnel standpoint that change the way you call the game. And so I really wanted to be able to practice that as a staff where, I'm putting something on the field, I'm getting information from them, and then I'm calling the game accordingly. And so I felt like, again, clean communication structure in game 2. So I'm going to go back up there in game 3 and we'll roll from there. But it's something that, I talked to other coaches around the league about, other play callers, and I talked to Joe Brady specifically. I talked to some other guys, and the advice that they gave basically was go where you feel comfortable being able to communicate to the staff, be able to solve problems in a clean and efficient manner. And so that's really what I want to do.
Yeah. So for regular season, that's where you'll be.
That's where I'll be. Yep.
All right. So you heard it there first, folks. Ravens offensive coordinator Declan Doyle makes it official. He wants to call plays, or he will call plays exclusively from up in the booth. Now, like I've said before, I think this is a mistake. I think he should be on the field with the players. I'm going to explain to you why. The reason why I believe that Declan Doyle, being a 29-year-old, I think recently 30-year-old offensive coordinator, first time play caller at that, I feel like he would benefit a little bit more from, and this is just my personal opinion. Who gives it, who cares? But you guys watch my show, so I'm going to tell you how I feel about things, right? But I feel like in terms of like being able to know how the game is living and breathing on the field, I feel like that's invaluable for a young coordinator who's eventually going to be a head coach himself, right? Because you think about it, Declan, you're not going to be in Baltimore for but 1 year, two max. The only way that Declan Doyle makes it to a year 2 as offensive coordinator in Baltimore is if Lamar Jackson, knock on wood, gets hurt and the offense struggles because of it. That's the only way. Lamar Jackson is going to play well enough this season. And well enough is an understatement. He's going to play, I believe, on an MVP level that's going to elevate Declan Doyle to head coach status next season. So knowing how the game is living and breathing on the field, your players are running out there, coming back to you, collaborating with you in real time. That's something you're going to have to do as a head coach. That's number one. It's also something that I think would benefit our players, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry. If they feel like they can collaborate and you guys are going into battle together, I think that does a lot for the mentality of the team too. Now, I'm glad that he's able to communicate clearly and everything like that. I do. But I do think that there's just certain times where you want to be on the field. You want to be the guy who looks Lamar Jackson in his eyes, much like John Harbaugh did against Seattle Seahawks all those years ago, not to bring up Garbaugh, right? Not to bring them up, but looking into your eyes and asking your player, like, hey, do you think we should make this decision man to man? Like, look me in my eye right now. I'm not talking to you through a headset. No, not through a headset. Look at me in my face right now and tell me you agree with going with this call. And we kind of express that vote of confidence in each other face to face. I think that does a lot. You might say, all of a sudden that means nothing. Sure. But again, you watch my show. I'm going to tell you how I feel about things. That's how I feel. I think he needs to be on the field with the players collaborating in real time. And I said a couple of weeks ago after the Philly game, I said, oh yeah, it's a wrap after that. I knew it. I just knew it. Right? I just knew it. Ravens were at home. It was his first time up in the booth calling the game. Ravens win 24-7. It was pretty smooth sailing. And I knew kind of after that, he was going to be like, well, it went so well in Philly. Let me test my luck again, see if I can do it again in Minnesota. Liked it there too. He's never going to look back. And Doyle says that we just don't have enough time for me to be flip-flopping back and forth. And, because to get used to one, it's going to take me about 2 to 3 games, whether that be calling plays from up in the booth or calling plays on the field. It's probably going to take me 2 to 3 to 4 games, which is fair, by the way. It's going to take me a little while to get used to either one enough to say that I like this one. So the fact that I started off in the booth and that went well, right? If it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it because I don't have enough time to fix it. Season's in 3 weeks. Matter of fact, less than that. So I understand and I respect his decision. And to be honest with you, whatever makes him most comfortable makes me most comfortable. If he likes it, I love it. That's why I'm at with it. I just, again, disagree. If it were me and I knew that I'm getting groomed to be a head coach and I knew the type of players I had and stuff like that, I'd probably be out there on the field. Now, of course, when you are up in the booth, much to another point he kind of alluded to here, you can see everything with your offense, right? I feel like it's a lot easier to get an understanding of like exactly what's going on because it's literally like playing chess. Offensive coordinators are chess players. Coordinators in general are chess players, right? And if you can see all the pieces on the board at one time, that's better for you. However, there is another aspect of it. These aren't actual chess pieces. These are real life human beings who have their own bodily autonomy and free will. Like they can do what they want on the football field at the end of the day. And I feel like being that coach on the sideline, going and talking to your guys and, when there's rough moments and stuff like that, you need to get your offense out of a funk. You can be that guy on the sideline to kind of get the guys out of it. When the players can't really see the forest from the trees, you can. That's your job as a coach. So, he mentions Israel Wolfork, the quarterback's coach on the field, and kind of utilizing him for that sort of stuff and communicating through him and relaying through him. Love that. I would have just personally, me, Sutton Def, I would have preferred Doyle be on the field for a couple of reasons. Okay. We better not lose no games with him in the booth. We're going to lose some games. Taurus, we're going to ET Taurus, we're going to lose some games. That's for sure. We're going to lose some games. How many teams in the past 10 years won a Super Bowl when the offensive coordinator was in the booth? I don't know. That's a good question. Son, did you talk yourself out of your option in real time? Or my opinion in real time? No, man. I just, again, a lot of things require you to look at both sides. I can never give you a good enough argument on why I believe one thing if I don't understand the other side of that argument too. So that's why I always introduce the nuance with everything. We did the same thing with the Bateman conversation. There's nuance to everything. You might lean one way or the other, but I think it's irresponsible to not at least acknowledge, right? You can't get anywhere if you don't acknowledge that you understand the other side of things, That's all I'm saying. The GOAT trophy. Oh, shoot. I think it's huge. 285 E Money dropping the GOAT trophy in the chat. Thank you so much. 285. We appreciate that. GOAT trophy, GOAT trophy. Let me see. D. Wilkinson says, we need less Andy Reeds and more Steve Spagnuolos, guys that are happy with being coordinators and not head coaches. Not everyone is cut out to be a head coach. You're right. You're right about that. And it's annoying how like Steve Spagnuolo has just been sitting there as a defensive coordinator for the Chiefs for how many years now? Like at least like 5+ years now. Because nobody, he just doesn't care to be a head coach at this point. He's like, no, I'm good doing this. And he is damn good calling that defense. And they got Eric Bieniemy back now. So the Chiefs are going to be very interesting this year. But no, you make a good point. I wish we did have more coordinators that were comfortable being coordinators, right? That way we wouldn't get our coaches poached every other year. Afia says, and what if he's on the field and we lose? And are we going to tell him to go to the booth? No. Like I was telling tourists, like we're going to lose games regardless. Whether he's up in the booth, whether he's on the field, whether he's up in space calling the game, we're going to lose games regardless. That's just going to happen. Let me see. I was just saying it would be better for the team. Better for our main star players on offense if they can collaborate with Declan in real time. That's all I was saying. Just because of like also how good of a teacher Declan Doyle is, I feel like that's more relevant. That skill is more relevant when you're on the field in real time. You can go to a guy and say, hey, you know what I'm saying? You did this. I noticed you did this on that last drive, right? Let's take a look at this together. Okay, you see you did this here. Okay, cool. Now look down here. You see what you missed? All right, see, yeah, right. Like he's gonna be like you can teach on the field in real time, right? That's what I feel like would be better if he was down on the field for that. Not to say he can't talk through the headset and do it, but there's a difference between talking to your buddy on the phone and talking to your buddy face to face. There's a difference. Okay. All right. Let me see. Read through some more comments here. Mog says, one more fantasy league, son. No, man, I can't do any more. I can't do any more fantasy leagues. I can barely keep up with 2, man. Sorry. I can barely come in with 2. Rain gang. City emojis. Drop them emojis in the chat, man. We have other coaches on the sidelines that can relay info. Yeah, that's what he said they're using Izzy for. Quarterback's coach. When is the sudden reactions? I miss that. I miss it too, man. I do. It's just with like the schedule. Schedule be crazy, bro. The schedule is crazy. Afia stays saying I don't have to highlight her comments. Now I'm highlighting your comments. I'm highlighting them. What happens if you win the fantasy league? Does Alex buy you a jersey? If you win the fantasy league, then yeah, you get a jersey on the house of PRP of your choosing. Rolab95 says, Sutton, can you confirm no Bateman talk at the roundtable? I cannot confirm that. I don't think coach has sent me the rundown for today's roundup. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna want to talk about it, to be honest with you. I don't think that he talked about it yesterday in his stream with Nitro, because I checked that out. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna want to go there too much. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. Make sure y'all tune in though for that later. Liminal challenge for kicking my butt anyway. That's why we started Purple Rain games. We started the Purple Rain games last Friday. Those were a lot of fun. We're gonna get that back going later this week too. Anywho, back to this. Declan Doyle, more power to you, brother. I hope you do well up in the booth. But I would have just preferred my boy be on the field. That's it, because he's a great teacher. Let's teach on the field during the games. in real time. Declan Doyle about what he's looking to get out of joint practice with the Commanders.
The defense that you're going to play against came from Minnesota. So in a lot of ways, like, you're playing things that are similar. I really want to see our guys go out and execute at a higher level. That's the biggest thing. Play to play, with the process, with their response, rather than reaction to any sort of play that happens. Our ability to, whether it's successful or a failure, move on to the next play, and be able to go out and just focus on your job on that one play. All right, flush it, go to the next one. That's really what I want to see more than anything. I want to see us come out and compete, and go put it on tape. What we're trying to put on tape, what we say we're about, I want that to show up when there's no noise, there's no, it's on mute. I just want it to be on the video. I would say, the defense that you're going to play against came from Minnesota.
That's a good answer. Listen, at this point in the preseason, we're kind of at that point in the preseason now where, okay, we've gotten that initial feeling of like, okay, football's back, Ravens football is back, and we see which rookies and which bubble guys on the roster are trending towards the right direction and which ones are not. Now it's about, look, week 1 in Indy is in less than 3 weeks, so in this last preseason game, and then in these joint practices as well, we just need to start firing on all cylinders. We need to start putting things together because the dress rehearsals are almost over, right? The season, like, again, 19 days. 19 days. So the dress rehearsal is almost over. We just need to come out there and look more buttoned up. And I think that the Minnesota Vikings, their our joint practice with them and then the preseason game with them as well, that really did help us prepare. It really did help us prepare. I feel like we kind of knew the Eagles game was weird, right? Obviously, we didn't have a joint practice with them, but then we went out there and we basically blanked them, right? They had one garbage time touchdown, but outside of that, they got blanked. They got shut out, pretty much. And that kind of left us like, okay, well, are we that good, or are the Eagles just really not all that good, and their depth and their coaching and things like that? And then you go and play the Minnesota Vikings after having 2 defensive struggling practices with them, joint practices. And it's a low scoring affair, 13-3, but the defense still dominated. And it's like, okay, so right now we know what we have defensively, but the offense needs to start firing on their cylinders more consistently and putting this thing together. And I think that's what Declan Doyle is talking about here. And listen, for as much talent is on this team, he has still got his work cut out for him. He's got his work cut out for him because there's going to be a lot of expectations to live up to, because as good as we think this offense is, I think that this defense, even with Lamar Jackson over on the offense, this defense is better. This defense is better. Right now, you take all the pieces that are on defense. We're going to assume Nnamdi Madubuike will be back, maybe not week 1, but a couple weeks into the season or whatever. Nnamdi Madubuike, Travis Jones, Calais Campbell. And those are the guys keeping Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson clean, and they can get downhill and tackle. And then, oh yeah, by the way, now you have a blue chip edge rusher in Trey Hendrickson and Mike Green, who's starting to show flashes. And then Kyle Hamilton, who you can put anywhere on the defense. Excuse me? Yeah, this Ravens defense is going to absolutely ball out this year. And it's going to leave the offense in a place where if they aren't putting up 30 a game, it's going to feel like, I'm just saying, it's going to feel like they're not doing their job. And that's what it's kind of felt like so far in this preseason. I get it. Starters aren't playing, but it feels like the defense is like light years ahead of where the offense is at right now, which is to be expected. I'm not saying I'm worried about it, but Declan Doyle, much like Declan Doyle is saying here, it's time to start pulling everything together. It's time to start putting the pieces together here, and we start contributing and closing the gap between where the offense is at and where the defense is at. I love it. It's a good answer. Listen, guys, make sure you like the video, sub to the channel as well if you are new. We'd appreciate that. We have a birthday in the chat. Kwame? Was it Kwame's birthday? God's favorite in the house. What's going on, God's favorite? Smitty's birthday. Happy birthday, Smitty. Happy birthday, Smitty. Go ahead and clap it up for him in the chat. Let's go. Happy birthday, brother. Appreciate you for coming through, supporting the channel as always, even on your birthday. Even on your birthday. All right. Offense will be better than the defense. I hope we don't start doing the tush push. Nah, I don't think we're doing no tush push. No tush push happening. Now, if we did have to run some sort of like, sneak play, I don't know if Declan Doyle is going to load up Andrews behind, the center, under center, much like we used to do. I hated those plays, by the way. They used to work. They used to work from time to time, but I was never a fan of the Mark Andrews tush push. And then we started getting like cute with it. I was like, nah, man, y'all can miss me with this. Y'all can miss me with this. I didn't like that at all. At all. Okay. Let me see. What else did we have here that happened today? Any new news? New news here. Jamarr Chase is back on the sideline and not under trainer supervision after getting tangled on a ball that was underthrown. It was a tense few moments during team drills. Yeah, man, like I said before, probably a hyperextension. That's what it looked like to me off the first look. Calvin Austin has a serious knee injury with the Giants. That sucks. And here you see Jamarr Chase trying to walk it off. Appears to be walking okay. He's good. He's going to be good. You don't really see any limp there, right? Yeah, he should be okay. He should be all right. Probably won't. I mean, I wouldn't get him back in practice today. Nah, you need to go sit on that bench somewhere. They go find that pine. What are you talking about? Jamarr Chase is like their world. Without Jamarr Chase, forget about the Bengals. Forget about the Bengals. He damn near more important than Joe Burrow. And that's a fact. Look, that's a fact. Just ask Joe Flacco. All right. Let me see. Let's talk a little bit about the Ravens 53-man roster, shall we? So I came across this Reddit post the other day with somebody who broke down like all of the let me see if I can make this a little bigger for the chat here. They broke down all of the 53-man roster, at least the projected one, right? And I was thinking to myself, like, who are we going to leave off of this roster? Like, who are we not going to sign, right? And it kind of like, geez, my computer's like tripping right now. Let's see. Let me do that. Is that going to work? Okay. But no, I was thinking to myself, like, who are we going to leave off this roster? So let me go through here. Let me actually pull that off screen. Just read it. Quarterbacks. Will the Ravens roster 3 quarterbacks on the 53? Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, and Joe Fagnano. Now, me personally, I don't think that Joe Fagnano, as well as he's performed this preseason, I don't think that the Ravens are going to designate him a roster spot. I think that he is going to go to the practice squad. We'll hit the waivers, right? Somebody might pick him up. Just listen, preseason is basically just tryouts. You are a sellsword. Most of the guys who play in preseason and dominate those reps, they are sellswords, mercenaries, if you will. And they're trying out for other teams on the Ravens. That's what's happening. And I think Joe Fagnano is going to find himself on a team. It's just not going to be with Baltimore. So I think that we end up rostering 2 quarterbacks. And then maybe an Austin Reed or somebody like that goes to the practice squad, right? And we just kind of hold on to them. So I'm going to go 2 there instead of 3. I'm going to go 2 quarterbacks. And then also, let's take a look at the running backs. And no, I think somebody who put that in the chat. God's favorite, if it's the 53-man roster, then nobody, right? No. So the one that I was looking at was 54. It had 54 people on it. I've already eliminated Joe Fagnano. So I think that the rest of the guys will end up making it. Running back, still roster 3. Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Adam Randall. I don't think anybody's debating that. Okay, so moving on. Will the Ravens roster 6 wide receivers? I think that they will. Zay Flowers, Rashod Bateman, Jacoby Lane. That is the set in stone wide receivers 1 through 3. Zay, Bate, and Lane. I'm sorry, Tez Walker, but Jacoby Lane has shown us too much, and the Ravens have showed us how they feel about Jacoby Lane, putting him in street clothes in the last preseason game. Meanwhile, they still had Tez Walker putting in that work, right? They want to preserve Jacoby Lane. I think he is legit wide receiver 3. He has stamped himself as such. But the other 3, of course, Tez Walker, and then LaJohntay Wester, who's had himself a couple nice practices and a nice preseason game the other day as well. And then Elijah Surratt. Those will be the 6 wide receivers that make the 53. That'll be the 6 that make the 53. The tight ends. 4 tight ends that we're looking at, they're going to be, rostering here. 1, Mark Andrews. 2, Matthew Hibner. 3, Durham Smythe. And 4, Josh Cuevas. I don't see a world where any of these guys don't end up making the roster. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. 4 tight ends. We're going to solidify that. That's locked in. So, moving on here. Offensive line. Left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. Right tackle, Roger Rosengarten. Of course, both of those guys are making the team. Center, Ethan Posick and Javon Gwynn. I think both of those guys will obviously make the team, especially considering the center depth is something that we really don't have. I mean, we really don't even have much of a viable starting center. Ethan Posick looked good in the last game, but we just have to see how that Achilles holds up, right? He's kind of just ramping up and getting back into playing shape, really. So we got to see. Swing tackle, you're going to have Carson Vincent on the squad, making the squad as your swing tackle, your backup tackle there. I agree with that. And then also at guard, John Simpson, Andrew Voorhees, and then on the other side, Venga Ioane and Emory Jones. I think that those guys will also make the team. So we're on track for the 53 right now. We're on track. Moving on from that, because I don't think it's too much of a debate there, other than you could say who, like Lichtenhand or something like that, but no, I don't think he's going to end up making it. Especially considering that there's some people on the defensive side of the football who have been balling out and deserve one of those last couple of spots, if you know what I mean. Defensive line, Tavius Robinson and Zion Young on the left end. On the right end, Trey Hendrickson, Mike Green, and Ethan Burke. Ethan Burke is a guy who has he's really flashed so far this preseason. I've liked what he's done in games, right? The moments don't seem to be too big for him. He flies around the football, hits hard, tackles well. And you can ask him to do a lot of different things. So I think that Ethan Burke is definitely he's made his case, right, to make this roster. As long as nothing catastrophic happens this week, I'm talking like in both joint practices and then in the preseason finale on Friday, as long as he can kind of hold his own and hold the line, then he's going to make this team. I believe. And edge depth is something that, I think that this Ravens team will benefit from, especially going later into games when, let's say, the Ravens are up 2 possessions. Because I do expect the Ravens to be up in some of these games. It's not a crazy hard schedule for the Ravens this year, especially not the first half of it. So I do expect the Ravens to have a lot of fourth quarters where they're just leaning on teams with, run game and, I don't want to say prevent defense, but like they're just leaning on teams. You guys know what that looks like when, with these Ravens. And you're not going to need to have Trey Hendrickson out there. You're not going to need to have Mike Green out there necessarily. And Ethan Burke will come in handy, and he'll get his time in the regular season as well if he does make the team, which I think he will. Now, defensive tackle, Nnamdi Madubuike is going to be an interesting one because, as I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's video, make sure you guys check that out about Nnamdi Madubuike. He just started hitting the sleds again, right? Just got back on the sleds. And if he just got back on the sleds, then that tells me that he's probably not going to be ready to go by week 1, right? If he's still non-contact, nobody's touched him. yet. He hasn't even felt contact yet. Game started 2.5 weeks. I don't really see him starting week 1. I think that the Ravens might opt to put him on short-term injured reserve, which is 4 games. So he might not, be on the 53 when the season actually by Sunday. They might designate him as a IR, which would allow them to elevate somebody else who could potentially make this team who might not have before. But moving on from Nnamdi Madubuike, also Travis Jones, the defensive tackle, Calais Campbell, of course, John Jenkins, Aeneas Peebles, and Rashod Bateman. Now, Rashod Bateman is an interesting one. I think that Rashod Bateman will end up making it again, mainly because with Nnamdi Madubuike probably going to IR, and again, we don't know for sure, but with him probably starting the season off on IR, everybody else in that D tackle room just gets shifted up one spot for now, at least, right? Not to mention Rashod Bateman had himself a pretty nice performance in the Minnesota Vikings preseason game, had himself a sack. So, yeah, I think he's in contention right now to make it as well, pretty comfortably, especially if Nnamdi Madubuike is not ready to go. Linebackers, Roquan Smith, Teddy Buchanan, Trenton Simpson, and then you also have Dominic DeLuca. And this is going to be an interesting one. But I think that we should be able to get him included as well, especially again considering Nnamdi Madubuike, that spot's going to get moved. So that's a free spot. And then Joe Fagnano, who I don't think is going to make the team. We're taking those two off. I think you can also fit DeLuca on here. I don't know if there's anybody else necessarily that the Ravens will try to elevate to this 53, but it's hard to make a case. If I had to so let's say this. If you had to pick between Dominic DeLuca to make the team as a linebacker or Ethan Burke to make the team as an outside backer, who would you pick? Who would you pick? Drop it in the comments. Drop it in the chat. Because the thing for me is DeLuca, because that's another thing. On this list that I'm reading, they didn't include Jay Higgins. And I'm a Jay Higgins guy. So do you Dominic DeLuca would have to absolutely ball out all week. All week long. If he wanted to try to get that spot from Jay Higgins. Let me see what y'all say in the chat here. Tila says, I like DeLuca. They play well. But Burke's also been stepping up too. Guy might be a hidden gem. Burke, yeah. I think that they would probably lean Burke. I would lean Burke. I would. Me personally. I'm good with Roquan, Teddy Buchanan, Trenton Simpson. And I think Jay Higgins, I think he deserves to make this roster. I do. But again, throw it down below in the comment section what you think about those two guys. That's what I want to see. And yes, he did impress last game. He did. Defense has just been showing out in general, man. They've been showing out in general. And I think it's more of a testament to Jesse Minter more than anything, because you talk about a guy who just gets more with less. He gets more done with less. He did it with the Chargers, and now look at what he's doing in the preseason. He's allowed 1 garbage time touchdown. Right? What are we talking about? Teams are only putting up 5 points a game. 5 points a game so far, and we'll see what the Commanders offer. Cornerbacks, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, of course. Then also, who else we got? Marlo, Nate, Cheeto, Keon Martin, TJ Tampa, Chandler Rivers, and Bilal Kone. I think it's because I think all these guys have to make it. I think all those guys got to make it, man. Chandler Rivers has been stepping up. He's looking like, I saw somebody compare him to Ardarius Washington. That's smaller, but fiery DB, right? Who's going to be all around the ball, making plays, blitzing out of the slot. I could see it. Keon Martin's really made a name for himself. It's like, unfortunately, man, some of these guys aren't going to make it. It's tough, man. I'm glad I'm not Eric DeCosta. I'm glad. Because I want DeLuca, but like, and I'm trying to hold on to him, but I don't think he's going to quite make it. I think he might be a practice squad guy. He might end up being a practice squad guy. Safeties: free safety 1, Malachi Starks, and free safety 2, Jalen Hawkins. Strong safety 1, Kyle Hamilton. Strong safety 2, Keandre Jackson. I don't think anybody has any problems there. Keandre Jackson, I think, definitely deserves to make this roster. He's been making plays both in training camp and in the games as well. And then, of course, you got your kicker, Tyler Loop, punter, Ryan Eckley, and long snapper, Nick Moore. So, Eric DeCosta, there's like maybe 2 or 3 tough decisions that really need to be made. Again, what are you going to do with DeLuca? What are you going to do with Ethan Burke? And are you going to roster Joe Fagnano and put him in this quarterback's room as a part of the 53-man roster? I don't think he will when it comes to the Fagnano thing, for as good as he's played. But again, the DeLuca and Ethan Burke, that's going to be one to figure out too. And then also, what's going to happen with Nnamdi Madubuike? A lot of this is like hinging, highly dependent upon what happens with the designation of interior D lineman Nnamdi Madubuike. Okay, that's what it boils down to. Let me see here, make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Another injury. Wow. So apparently after Jamarr Chase went down, and this is not an injury, but after Jamarr Chase went down, T. Higgins immediately took off his gear and left, stopped participating in practice for the day, which makes sense. Another injury reported: Chris Olave, Saints wide receiver, was slow to get up after attempting a catch, a deep ball at the end of practice. He walked off down the sidelines with athletic trainers and left practice, which ended a few plays later. Apparently, he just got the wind knocked out of him. Okay. He landed hard on his back, got the wind knocked out of him, according to Coach Kellen Moore. So that's good. Because honestly, I didn't know how many star players are going to be left on the Saints by the time they play us, because there's not going to be no Alvin Kamara, no Jordan Tyson. And this is week 2. And I saw somebody put in the chat earlier today, did you see the clowns on ESPN predict that the Ravens are going to lose week 2 in their home opener to the Saints? And I did see that. And I was like, the Saints? The Jordan Tyson lists, Alvin Kamara lists, Tyler Shuck-led Saints in Baltimore against a Jesse Minter defense? Listen, man, all I can do is pray for some of these folks. Man. All right. So I think that is just about it from today, chat. I appreciate all of y'all for coming through. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here. Get ready for our Ravens Roundup episode later on Coach's channel. Make sure you guys check that out. Before you get out of here, though, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Been another episode of Quiet Storm Sports, a beautiful episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Make sure you comment down below if you're part of the replay gang, what you thought about this one. And I'll see you guys later on today. Peace.
You're watching Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe for more Ravens content.